Good evening.
Good evening. Butsu. Sorry, I didn't have my
Namandabi,
Nenju ready. Butsu.
namandabi, namandabi,
Namanda.
namanda-
Very good to see you. It has been a while.
Likewise. Yes, 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 it
Lots
has.
going on in everyone's lives
Yeah,
in
it's
samsaric existence.
ain't that right?
Yeah. So, um, turns out that Kyokan can join us tonight.
Oh, good.
I'm going to phone him in about 10 past.
Okay.
So if you want, did you want to make a start on our first? I thought we'd do the dream,
Sure, sure.
the dream Dharma-Dream Dialoguin episode first, and then go to
And
the
then,
other after
yeah.
that.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, there's
Do you
not,
want to do you want to begin kind of with a discussion of the dream, or you want to wait till Gabriel comes in
yeah,
till
maybe that makes more sense. Otherwise, if they're,
maybe we could talk about just Shoshinge until then.
yeah, okay, sure.
And was there
Let's,
anything in the dream that you can remember of the text that was highlighted during the dream?
that's a good question.
No.
I'm just
Oh,
hoping.
by the way, I
Um,
made this background just in honor of your first of all, I'm very excited about this being the first episode where we discuss someone else's. We're having a Dharma dream dialogue of someone else's dream besides mine. All so far, it's been me discussing it, the dream Dharma, either in my individual videos, the Buddha Dharma dreaming, or the Dharma dream dialoguing with Kyokan. It's always been my either way. It's been
mm,
my
mm, mm,
dreams
mm,
that I've been
mm.
discussing. So it's quite exciting to be discussing someone else's dream first. And that's I created this background with AI in collusion with AI, in collaboration with AI, kind of a dreamy. I tried to create a sort of dreamy
Yeah,
looking
I know. I see that. The
Jodo Shinshu kind of service,
yeah, the,
chanting
the
service.
mistiness to
But
it.
anyway, so yeah,
So, just while we're waiting,
yeah,
um,
yeah, sure.
if you ever get the opportunity to go to the Onganji, which I strongly encourage, um, if you can stay here, which is where I stayed when I did my little pilgrimage,
Okay,
because that way, you can go through. This passage here is open in the morning for the morning service, so you
okay,
come out the
cool.
back of the
Yeah.
the Monbo Kaikon and then into the service, which starts in the Amidado and then goes into the
Yeah, I was going to
Goei.
say you do. It moves, doesn't it? It moves along the
Yeah, so you do the first part in the Amidado, and then you walk along this little bridge here. I mean, it
bridge.
says
Yeah,
corridor,
yeah.
it's more like a
Kyokan has
bridge, but
talked about it. Yeah,
you know,
in
when you
videos
walk, it's all
before.
creaky when you walk up on it, and
Love it.
it was. I've only done it once, but it was a really, really special experience, and I'd love to
Mm,
do that again. Um, and I mean, as you can see,
definitely.
the Honganji is it's enormous, you know. Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
So but when you do actually chant Shoshinge, which are you doing it in? The
You know,
Amido or the
from memory, it was the Amida, but
yeah.
I could be
Mm,
misremembering that because it's been 6 years, almost 7 years,
mm.
since I did this. So, and it was only the one time, um, but yeah, that's as I remember, that's how it goes. It's the Shoshinge and the Amida, and then the rest of it is in the Founders Hall.
Okay. So when were you there? When were you at the main?
That was just before COVID, so 2019.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
would have been actually I had my birthday. So it was yeah, at the end of 2019. It was right at the end of 2019. Which was before it gets really cold in Japan. But it was yeah, it was it was really good experience.
Yeah.
And what's great about it? I was talking to someone about this just the other day. Unlike most famous temples in Kyoto, it's not packed with tourists. Like I don't think like I mean I was there I was
Yeah.
in Kyoto for a
Yeah.
week and I was staying on the grounds of the Honganji. So I saw it all the time and I don't think I saw any tourists, you know? It was
Wow.
which so the sort of spiritual ambience of the place is much better preserved
Oh,
than
that's
like
great. Yeah. So you don't have to
you go
deal
to
with yeah
yeah,
the
you know
the
there's like
tourist vibe about it.
yeah,
It's
well,
strictly. Wow.
I've
That's
visited
great.
some temples in Kyoto, like Zen temples, where it's so ram-packed with tourists, just sort of
Yeah.
shuffling in a queue of
Yep.
people packed in like
Yeah.
sardines, and it's
Yeah. That's
horrific,
horrible.
you
That
know?
must be horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's
For
really
anyone
nice.
there that's trying to,
Yeah, yeah, well, exactly. There
there
for
for spiritual reasons
spiritual
rather
yeah,
than, yeah,
exactly.
rather
I
than,
also went up to Mount Hiei, and that was sort of a bit more balanced. Like, there's quite a few tourists, but not so much that it sort of
gotcha.
disrupts the spiritual ambiance.
Excellent.
Although
But
maybe I was just lucky, and maybe it's normally
yeah,
packed with tourists, and for whatever reason that week they weren't.
it just happened to not.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I don't know,
that's
but
good. That's
I did go to I went to a
quite
service at the
nice.
Higashi Honganji, and that was the same. It wasn't sort of it was
Mm.
very nice.
It was the
Um,
same. It was very similar though.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
very
got you.
similar sort of you know,
Yeah.
um, empty. It sounds bad to saying empty, right? But like it was the pe people who were there as devotees is the sense I got.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, but it was it's very much well worth visiting. Um, and the also the Rokkakudo, I went there, and that wasn't too, not overly touristed either.
Uh,
Yeah, the Rokkakudo did wasn't packed with tourists either.
mm, okay.
Um, maybe it's because these places are more important for us than they are for visiting tourists. I don't know, but yeah, clearly not high up the
Mm.
agenda. Um,
Ah, there he
and
is. He's coming in. There he is.
Hello.
good to see you
Hello.
again.
Namo
Um,
Mirabutsu.
Namo Midabitsu.
Namu
Namo
Amidabutsu.
Mirabutsu. Namanda. Namanda.
Um,
Namanda.
I was going to. I had things to do today, but I woke up with a bit of a sore throat, and I thought,
Ah,
I
yes.
Mhm.
I'm
don't
just
want to
getting
share
over it
my
now. Yeah.
terms with everyone.
Yeah.
So, but
Tis
it
the
all worked
season.
out because now
Yeah,
it
it
is the
is. It
season.
is.
Yeah. I'm just getting over it. What you just sounds like you just had, or just starting to get. Anyway. Yeah. So this is the first episode of Dharma-Dream Dialoguin, where we're discussing someone's dream besides me, Kyokan. Is we're going to be discussing
Oh, great.
Johan's dream. So it's quite I'm quite excited about it. Um, so did you want to describe the dream? You
Yeah,
describe
yeah.
your
I mean,
dream in as much detail and cinematic style as possible.
cinematically as possible. There wasn't. It wasn't. There's not an enormous amount to tell, but what is significant is only the second time I've ever had a dream related to the Dharma, in however many years it's been, um, and almost a decade, um, and so yeah, I was in a temple, and it was kind of formatted like, I don't know if have either of you been to Reverend Ho's temple in Hong Kong? Um,
I have not.
No, so it was no, no, okay, so it was sort of laid out that way, which is the way they've got that is they've got you know the onaijin, and then with the tatami mats like you would have in Japan, but then and I haven't seen this in Japan anyway, maybe they have that, like kind of a bench built into the wall around the back and the sides, because
Okay.
there's a lot of people there who are in their 80s, so people, and also not everyone's used to sit kneeling on tatami. So they, some people sit over there,
Yeah.
and I used to be going there a lot, so that's probably why it's sort of buried in my subconscious. And yeah, it was, I don't know why in particular. Maybe it's because it's Bodhi Day, maybe because it's kind of uh uh Gotane season. I'm actually going to a service for that next weekend. Um but and then there were a bunch of like, remember specifically kind of like middle-aged, young, 30s, 40-year-old, maybe 50-year-old, young Japanese priests there who were very enthusiastic and spoke dreadful English. But like, I mean, this is in the dream, right? Like, it's like, they really wanted to talk to me and were very friendly, but the English was really mangled, so I couldn't really
Okay.
understand what was being said. I just understood the sentiment. Um, and then we were chanting the Shoshinge, and I remember it was specifically the Shoshinge. Kimi o Milio Junior Line Amo Fuga Shigi Ko Hosobosa, and so on and so forth. Um, and then I woke up and a lot of incense. I mean, like almost
Oh,
more like
well,
the
I got the
quantity of
picture right then for
yeah,
the
no, you got the
background
picture
that
right.
I've
It's funny, you
created.
really
Yeah.
got the picture right
Yeah.
because it was more sort of the
I tried to create a dreamy kind of, uh, Jodo Shinshu service, chanting service with AI. So anyway, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, it was funny because it was more the sort of quantity of incense you'd expect at a Taoist temple than a
Mm.
Buddhist temple. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know if you've been to a Taoist temple, but they burn a lot of
A
incense. It's
lot.
like
Yeah, I have heard that. I've never been to a Taoist temple, but I have heard, yeah, they do.
I have in
And
Yokohama.
seen, video or images of, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, there's Chinese temple in the Yokohama Chinatown.
Hmm.
I used to go there quite a bit every now and then. They have the I don't know who the red guy is, but they have the red guy.
Red Guanggong.
Is it,
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
He's
is
got
it,
the beard
they
that you like that, and he's got a staff and a
Shangdi?
sword.
Is it Shangdi? Maybe or
No, Guan
No,
Shangguan.
it's not Shangdi.
No.
It's a one of the immortal, like,
okay. The eight's immortal, one of the eight's immortals.
semi-historical, like he was a quasi-historical figure, I
Yeah,
guess is how I
yeah,
understood it.
yeah.
Johan probably knows more than I do,
There are a few of
but yeah,
those
he's like
in
red
yeah.
and he has all this crazy headdress and things, and yeah,
I mean,
and
if it
Johan's right, they do burn a lot of incense, and people will go like this and stuff and all that. Pretty
I mean,
interesting.
if it's who I'm thinking of, it's yeah, it's a semi-historical figure who's in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and he's sort of known for his moral virtue and self-restraint, and specifically his sexual self-restraint. I always thought that was really interesting. That it's like that's I won't go into the story, but
Hmm.
if you've seen him with the beard, that's what that's referring
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Like him prizing virtue and learning over sex. Yeah, anyway, interesting. But yeah, they have like, there's coils of incense on the ceiling that are permanently burning. On top of the incense people are burning, and people, burn like, yeah, I've burned incense sticks that are about as tall as I am. Um, so it's yeah, it's a lot. But then it was so yeah, anyway, in the dream it was more sort of that kind of thing. And I was just trying to think, I was thinking about what the significance of it might be since we were going to talk about this. And I think it does speak to the I think a lot of people feel a desire or a yearning for I mean Shin people like us, right? Who are sort of these converts who are spread out around the globe that maybe you have semi regular access to like a physical sangha, but there's like I think there's very important need for the sangha, right? Like I mean not need in the sense that it's not essential, to
Right.
for salvation. Like you can go up a mountain and live on your own and trust in the meter, but like I think a lot of people, and I actually think myself less than most people, but doesn't mean I don't have it. Like have this want to be to um
Hmm.
not practice, but want to express, have this to worship Amida in community, right? Like I mean, I think there that's a fairly widespread thing. Um,
Definitely.
like I've got a church on my street, and I wish it was a temple. Just like I wish I'd
Yeah.
had that
Yeah,
access.
exactly that. Yeah,
Um,
I would definitely go if I had, you know, if I was proximate to a Jodo Shinshu temple, I would definitely attend.
Johan, aren't you close to the three wheels, or not anymore?
no,
Oh, that's a whole nother story.
that's a whole
That's a
whole
story
whole
for
other
another time.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, look, at various points in my life, I've been lucky enough that I have had access to temples in various countries, and it's like it's not part of our tradition, this weekly Sunday thing. I mean, that's like a relatively recent import from Christianity, but I think it's one I like, it's one I like a
Mhm.
lot. It really works for me, kind of having this regular, whether it's Sunday or not doesn't really matter. It's just convenient.
Yeah,
But a
exactly. Same.
regular kind of,
Yep.
refilling your tank. I mean, I guess we do this on
Right.
Sundays usually, so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not that different.
Exactly. That's why I try to do it as regularly as possible when it's possible. When
Yeah.
it prefer it on a weekly basis, but just lately it hasn't been possible to do that. But yeah, that's I do for that reason, for that sense of community, sangha, connection aspect of things. That's why I like to do this with you guys as regularly
If I may,
and as possible. But anyway, yeah. Sure. Go ahead, Jokin.
I think the thing I most miss about attending services in temples when I was living in Japan is, besides, of course, the wonderful people you meet, is the communal chanting of Shoshinge and sutras
Yeah,
and so on.
you often say that.
That's definitely something that I really enjoy. And I was sort of disappointed going to services here in the US where the chanting is not as prominent in the service as I'm used to from Japan. But that's another story. But I really do miss that part of it. And I think it's hard to get that outside of, because really the main thing in Jodo Shinshu is not the temple. I mean, to be totally honest, it's the Butsudan, O-Butsudan, and everyone, in olden days, everyone had an O-Butsudan, you would have an O-Butsudan, I would have an O-Butsudan. They're getting somewhat less common now, but, primarily Jodo Shinshu throughout most of its history was a householder religion. I mean, it was something observed primarily by the family, and then every now and then when there was especially Hoonko, primarily Hoonko, the Thanksgiving service, memorializing Shinran Shonin, was what people would make journeys to go, just like Rinyo writes about in his letters, But the core and the center of Jodo Shinshu is really the family O-Butsudan, and that's where the family would gather and chant, Shoshinge, traditionally in the morning and the night. In fact, I remember reading somewhere in Tokyo, before, shortly after World War II, and also, of course, before, but it would not be uncommon to be walking down a street in the evening and actually hear Shoshinge being chanted in all the different houses, which you definitely don't hear now. So, my goal has always been to get my own little O-Butsudan and then start a regular practice of chanting Shoshinge in the morning, at least in the morning. I don't know if I would be able to do it, twice a day. But so while on the one hand, I understand the wanting to go to temples and stuff, it's also possible, I think, to make too much of temples. It's not that temples aren't important, but unlike in Christianity where the church is the focus, really in Shinshu, the temple is not the focus. It's not that it's not important, but the focus is primarily, first and foremost, Amida Buddha, and Amida Buddha as, enshrined in the O-Butsudan. So it can be, a totally, I'm trying to say, a tradition that we as lay people can completely participate in, So I think that is important too. In one of the texts by Kakunyo Shonin, he smashes the idea of building temples. He criticizes the notion that we should even be making temples. It's really interesting to read as a someone in this in our age where we take for granted the idea that there's going to be temples.
Well, firstly, one thing you said made me feel a lot better about myself is, for years I was chanting the Shoshinge without fail morning and evening. And in the last, I don't know, year and a half since my life's gotten busier, I've just lapsed in the evenings and it's just become a morning thing. Makes me feel much better hearing that from you, Gabriel. But quite like such a slacker. But I mean, I have been tended to go back to doing an evening service. Maybe I'll just chant something shorter. But I had a question, an important question because I've had this for you for quite a while, and this seems like a good time to bring it up. How does going to services work in Japan? I mean, at a temple, because it's not a Sunday thing, right? So how does it work?
Well, it depends on the temple, honestly. Most like okay, so I've gone to a lot of temples in Japan, including the Nishi Honganji, the head temple, and Tsukiji Honganji in Tokyo, and the larger temples that are more like places where tourists go are open every day. In fact, Nishi Honganji, every single day at 6 o'clock in the morning, they have a morning service, every single day. And then every single day it's the exact same format. And there's a Dharma talk after the chanting of Shoshinge. So basically you chant Amida, no, sorry. Well, it is the larger sutra because Sanbutsuge or Tanbutsuge, depending on tradition, but Sanbutsuge is chanted in the Amida-do, and then everyone moves to the Goeido, which is where Shinran's image is enshrined. And then before the image of the founder, Shinran, we chant Shoshinge appropriately. And then after Shoshinge, there's a Dharma talk. And then after the Dharma talk, you read one of the Gobunsho, one of the letters of Rinyo, and then the service concludes. So at the head temple, at least Nishi Honganji, and I think Higashi is the same, but the service is every day, and then on special event days like Hoonko, it's going to be the Hoonko service, right? But smaller family temples are not necessarily going to be doing, service every day, and they won't necessarily be open. So sometimes they'll do a service on the weekend. Sometimes if they're really small, it's not necessarily every week. Like there was a temple where they would do, study groups, and then they would do. But in terms of what it's like to go there, I mean, every temple has their calendar of events, right? And you just, look at it and, there's a, Dharma study group on this day. Okay, well, I'll go to that, and various events and so on and so forth,
Okay, so I mean, so there might be temples that had to hold service every Sunday. I mean, hypothetically, it's possible.
Yeah, conceivably there would be if the demand is there. It does depend on the region. It depends on a lot of things. I think the standard is to have something going on every weekend, more or less. Not necessarily on Sunday, but because Sunday doesn't have particular special significance. Although in Japan, people sometimes work on Saturday, so usually it does end up being Sunday. But yeah, I mean, there's always something happening at the local temple, of whatever it might be. There's festivals, there's jazz concerts, there's all kinds of things. Who knows? It depends on the temple and who is attending it. I mean, I've been in temples where it's all old people, or senior citizens. And then I've been to other temples where there's a lot of young people, I mean, and so a lot of times the Jushoku and the temple leadership will, you know, craft services and events that appeal to whoever is, coming to whoever the temple serves, essentially.
Do you find that's very different between the Japanese temples and the Jodo Shinshu churches in America?
No, I think that part is really the same. I mean, in America too, we have like all kinds of different events and study groups and so on. The only thing is in America, like I was really heartened to find that my local, the San Luis Obispo Buddhist Church is actually bringing Dharma school back, because they have younger people now. For a while there, it looked like Shin Buddhism here was just going to throw up its hands and lay down and die without a fight, and now it's like, oh wow, it's cool to see like there's being renewed interest in actually preserving, the tradition in ways that, I mean, you can't have a religion that is gonna, continue on if you're not teaching the young people about it, and for a while, there's a lot of lethargy, especially with the older, we have a lot of older clerics and priests and stuff who don't really understand the world, and how it's changed. And so there's a lot of tendencies to just cut things like, oh, well, no more, we don't need Dharma school now because there's no kids here. And, let's just go down to a service every month instead of every week, because we barely have enough people as it is. It's really cool to see newcomers and younger people, especially at the slow Buddhist temple, who are, sort of like, now they do lay services. That's what I was going to go to today, in fact. Like because the priest, the resident minister, is goes to two temples. So every other week, she basically goes back and forth between two temples. So when she's not conducting services at the slow Buddhist temple, it's a lay-led service, which I think is really cool. And also, bringing back Dharma school. I mean, these are like, it still has a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Like, these are the minimum things. Like, if you went back 50 years ago, our American temples were packed on Sunday. There would be teenagers, young people, kids, older people. It was like a huge, but the Japanese American, community has really declined and scattered in recent decades, and there hasn't been enough what's the word, propagation of the Dharma for other people outside of that community to like come in and keep it going, So for me, it's heartening to see that. It's like, wow, at least we're taking a baby step in the right direction. But at the same time, I think the situation remains a little bit dire here. I don't know if I even think there's going to be that many, temples left in a decade or two, but we'll see.
Well, that's kind of signs of Mappo.
Sorry, I didn't mean to depress everyone.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's kind of signs of Mappo, signs of the latter age of the declining Kalpa, as it were.
Yeah. By the way, same problem in Japan.
Anyway,
younger people are not going to temples as much or doing the,
For the last bit, can we bring it? Just wanted to have just a couple more questions for Johan about his dream.
Sure.
Tying all this back into it. Because it did seem like you had some people trying to talk to you. You said before chanting.
Yeah.
Who do you can you remember what they looked like or what it was, and who else and how many people were there or what the community kind of looked like
it's
at
funny
all, or
yeah,
any other
your
details?
your image there isn't too far off the mark, It was like a lot of black-haired people, I think, the more I think about it, that kind of it really recalled my experience in Hong Kong. because I was the not only the only non-Asian there, there was one Japanese fella, and he eventually had to move countries. So he, for a while there was one other non-Chinese, and he was Japanese. Other than him, everyone is Chinese, right? So um, it was like that sort of crowd. Although in the dream it was a fair bit younger than
Yeah.
because honestly, the temple I was going to was less black hair and more gray white hair.
Okay.
Um,
Gotcha. But the dream,
it's
it
funny.
was younger. It was a
Yeah,
younger
well,
crowd.
it's
Yeah.
funny because there is another temple, Nishihonganji Temple in Hong Kong that has people who tend to are more like in their 30s, 40s, late
Mm,
20s.
mm,
So
okay.
there was a much younger crowd. I just went to the older one because the priest spoke much better English, which
Yeah.
sort of ties in because there was this in the dream there was like two or three uh yeah,
Yeah.
30s to 50s
Yeah.
Jap and they were Japanese. I remember very strong Japanese accents who were very
Trying
enthusiastic
to
about
speak to you.
yeah, they're very
Yeah.
and yeah, they were trying to talk to me. Um, but what exactly they were saying, I can't remember. The main thing I remember waking up with the strong impression that their English was just awful. But it was I've had a
Mm.
lot of conversations with a lot of people speaking a lot of different languages who are very friendly and very enthusiastic, but do not have
You
the
just can't.
vocabulary to get across
Yeah.
what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
I mean, like right, Europe, Africa, Asia, the
Mm.
the whole thing. So it was that very familiar experience, which is pleasant. It's like it's nice that someone's happy to see me.
Yeah.
Don't really know what they're trying to say. Was kind of Amita, good, good,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But it was that, and then it was like, okay, time to chant now. And everyone sat
You just
down.
went
But
to
yeah, sorry, there's not a great deal of substance, but it was very pleasant to be in temple again,
well,
even if it was.
it did seem to inspire you. The our discussion here about the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
importance of the Sangha, the community, the discussion of Shoshinge. Yeah,
Well,
and you think that also you kind of wondering if maybe it being Bodhi, because this is the Bodhi Day, kind of approaching of Bodhi Day, the international universal observance being the 8th of December. You thought that you wondered whether that might have been
yeah, that was
something on
in
your
my
mind.
subconscious, and also, it's also Honko. I said Gotane earlier. That was wrong. It's Honko season. Um, so that's sort of two big things this kind
Mm.
sort of time of year. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
Honko's more in November, but it's round.
Well, good point actually that Johan made there is Honka season is actually from November to January
Mm.
because every temple will do it on a different, will try to do it at different times because there are people like, call them Shin fanatics, and they will try to go to like multiple Hoankos. So
Okay.
they'll go to like their local temple Hoanko, and then they'll go to like the Betsuin Hoanko,
Awesome.
and then they'll go to the mother temple Hoanko.
Enthusiasts.
Like they do Hoanko throughout like three
Love it.
months, and
Yeah.
so the small temple or the family, not family, the local temples and the Betsuins always do Hoanko at a different time than the mother temple, right?
Mm.
When the mother temple does Hoanko, it's only that because everyone is expected to or
Mm.
will be going to that Hoanko. So that's like the big Hoanko. But every temple does Honko. And by the way, Higashi does the main Honko at the mother temple in November because they use the old calendar,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
um, the old Japanese calendar before the Gregorian calendar was adopted in the Meiji period. Nishi Honganji does it in January, so you can actually go to both if you are in. And then I think there's a small little temple next door to Nishi Honganji that does it on a different day so that people can go to theirs and go to the Nishi Honganji.
Excellent. Love it. I love it. That would probably be me, if to be fair, if I was near temples. But I
Yeah,
love this. I love
it's a
this
lot of
time of
fun too
year. I
because
love
we get
this
to
season. I
hear.
love all the different sort of festivals and observances during this time through right through you know, from mid-September through right through Chinese New Year. Yeah. So